Hi, it's a 33 guy, and today we're talking about UFOs and non-human intelligence. And we're going to stick with the modern UFO era, which is 1940s to today. Let's see, that would include like the Foo Fighters, Roswell, Trinity, all that information that is out there in the general public. That's where I get my information from. July 2020, the Pentagon announced that the 3 videos that they released in December the 16th, 2017, which was the gimbal video, the Go Fast video, and the Tic Tac video, were real videos taken by military. They represent unidentified aerial phenomena. That's what they called it at the time. And that is a real phenomenon. So since that time, a lot of people that didn't believe in UFOs now say, well, the Pentagon says it's real. It's got to be real. I believe in it, but I'm not sure what it is. Here's some information that might help make that decision for you. In 1947, September 23rd, 1947, General Twining, it's called the Twining Memo. Again, all of this information is out on the internet. Go and find it. Said, I quote, "The phenomena is real and not imaginary or fictitious." In other words, people aren't making this crap up. They're not imagining it. It's a real phenomena, a real physical phenomena. The Pentagon has been studying this phenomena for well over 80 years. Of course, they've been lying to us. They used to say there's nothing here. They finished with Project Blue Book, which was just a whitewash, and even that, they had 700 sightings they could not explain. The civilian guy that was associated with Project Blue Book came in as a skeptic, Dr. Hynek. Afterwards, he was really upset that that's what they were doing. He was part of that. He was part of covering up the reality of the UFO phenomena. And he became one of the best ufologists in his day. UFOs are real. It's an authentic phenomena, a real thing. Pentagon says so. If you look at any of the information, it's pretty easy to figure out that really happens. The David Grush came out, that was what, in July of last year, saying, he was saying how we have a decades-long reverse engineering program that was hidden to Congress. That's where a lot of that money goes. The Pentagon has not had an accurate, what is that? Where our money's going. They don't know where half their money's going. That's like close to $1 trillion that they get, and half of it they don't know where it's going, or they're not accounting for it. They failed for the last 6 years in a row to tell the public where their money is being spent. David Grush said, look, the Pentagon is hiding these programs. These programs of reverse engineering and probably he talked about biologics, pilots, aliens, non-human intelligence that we have. David Grush's reprisals, the Inspector General said, were credible and urgent. Mr. Grush talked about interviewing 40 other first-hand witnesses, people that touched the bodies and the crafts. The Inspector General did their own investigation with those people, those first-hand witnesses. They have since debriefed some congressional individuals and some members of Congress. And if you listen to the interviews from members of Congress, they said, oh, well, what he's saying is true. They didn't cover everything, but if he's saying this is true, let's look at the other stuff. And that's all we're asking. Let's look at this. the Brigadier General Richard Stepp, which is the Director of Department of Defense for the Special Access Programs, have testified that the UAPs, the UFOs, are not part of the U.S. Special Access Programs. This is not anywhere in the military inventory. You look at intelligence officials, CIA, the people that do spying on foreign, especially adversarial people. They said this is not from foreign adversaries. The Russians in the 1970s did a very intensive 13-year study of UFO phenomena. So anyone that saw something, any military person that saw anything, they were to report it and they were investigated. They said they knew this wasn't from the Americans. They knew it wasn't theirs. It wasn't from the Americans. Where is it coming from? We know there's something out there. There's something physical. This isn't imaginary. There's been hundreds of thousands of sightings, both by civilians and military personnel. You know, so we're talking trained experts. You know, we have radar data. We have other electromagnetic platforms that can, oh, well, that's something there. There's other physical evidence. There's impressions in the soil. There are extra radiation levels where these objects were supposed to have landed and things like that. We have physical evidence for this. They're under intelligent control. If you look at the Tic Tac video, and Commander Favor went down from, I think he was at 20,000 feet. I'm going to go check this out. This Tic Tac was just above the water, and as he was going down, the Tic Tac started coming up, mirroring what he did. And then as they got closer, it took off. Commander Favor said in the blink of an eye, in a second or two, it was like 60 miles away at its cap point. I believe cap point stands for Combat Air Patrol. Anyways, that was a military encrypted coordinate that for some way that UFO knew where that was. It's under intelligent control. We have individuals with very high security clearances that have admitted that we have off-world vehicles not made by man. Dr. Eric Davis is one. The head of OSAP is another. The head of ATIP is another. These are first-hand people that have admitted, and this is declassified out in public, that we have off-world vehicles not made by man. Why are these people saying this? The official story right now isn't that, but you got these people that go through a security clearance, a DOBSA that says, oh yeah, you can say that, but we won't necessarily say it's true or not. No one has denied that. There's been no official thing that says, hey, what David Grush said isn't accurate. Well, a little pause there. The head of Aero, Sean Kirkpatrick, said that David Grush, he never came to him and we don't have any evidence. I believe that this year that will be shown that Dr. Kirkpatrick lied. That's a little tangent on what the official statement is. In science, we do our best to have a double-blind experiment so we can control everything. So that means that if I'm going to administer factor X to the subjects don't know whether they're getting a placebo or factor X. The scientists don't know which subjects have that, and so we have a control because no one knows anything, and then we understand the results. Unfortunately, there's many phenomena with us that we don't have control of. You know, we got geese migrating. We have earthquake. We still study them scientifically. We have crop circles. We study these things scientifically. And so what do we do as scientists? We look for patterns. Those patterns in the ATIP program, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, that was led by Luis Elizondo back in 2007 to 2012, they said that's when it ran. He also said, yeah, it's still running. Of course it is. There's many programs, the intelligence community, the Pentagon, the DIA, have been investigating this phenomenon for decades. They're just not telling us yet. ATIP program had scientists who were there. I believe Eric Davis was one, Hal Puthoff, Travis Taylor, others. Anyways, these are very intelligent individuals that have had security clearances with the DIA, the CIA, the Pentagon for decades. And when they studied the footage, I believe they studied the footage and interviewed individuals just from the military. Just from the U.S. military. They found 5 observables. I've talked about that before, but let's just do a quick review. One of them is an antigravitic property. So that means that they can stay afloat, and some of them have been recorded as staying afloat for 12 plus hours. Our best jets, what do they got? We got an F-18 Super Hornet that carries, 3,800 gallons of fuel. How the hell do they carry that much fuel? They could stay afloat for about 4, 5, 6 hours, depending on how they're flying. These objects will stay stable in hurricane force winds. Just sitting there. I can't do that. You have sudden and instantaneous acceleration. They'll go from a standstill position to over Mach 5 in an instant, in less than a second. They'll do 90-degree turns while you're going at Mach 5, and then all of a sudden a 90-degree turn. That gives you a G-force in the hundreds, like 6, 7, 800. Some people saying even up to 3,000 G-force. How in the world is that possible? A human being can handle about 9 Gs before they black out, or the Super Hornet, the best fighting machine that we have in the air, can handle about 16, 17 Gs, and it falls apart. 600 Gs, 700 G forces. That's what's been calculated with how fast these things are going. Then they do a right angle turn or instantaneous acceleration, like what happened with the Tic Tac. You have a low observability. Sometimes pilots will see the object, but it won't show up on their radar, or the radar of whoever's watching stuff in the area, or it'll show up on radar and the pilot can't see it. You have no visual. They have stealth mode, or sometimes they'll seem fuzzy, as though they're in and out of this dimension or what. I'm not sure. It just, it's not a sharp figure. Low observability. Hypersonic velocity. I talked about them going like at Mach 5 plus. So, with no signature. That means there's no sonic boom. There's no vapor trails. There's no ionized atmosphere. And some have been tracked at 30 times the speed of sound. That's fast. That's really fast. Transmedium travel. These objects that have been followed on radar and other kind of optical sensors that pick, They're in space, like well over 80,000 feet. I think the highest we go with our radar is about 80,000 feet. But, you know, satellites are watching them, then they go into, within radar range, about 80,000 feet, and then they're in our air atmosphere. So you got an object that's flying in space, going in our atmosphere, and then it goes in the water with no discernible difference as they move through those mediums. And underwater, they've been tracked at over 250 miles an hour. Good Lord, our fastest atomic submarines go 40 miles an hour. These observables show aerodynamic capabilities that are far superior to current known aircraft technology, current known aerodynamics, current known laws of physics. These are consistent with the reports for decades, maybe hundreds of years, but for decades. This is the same kind of reporting that people have made, both civilian and military, for decades and decades. We don't have that kind of technology. So, my argument for non-human intelligence in our Earth's biosphere is pretty simple. The UFOs are real. That's a fact now that's accepted by everyone. Or it should be if you're intelligent, open-minded. You need intelligence and open-minded to look at data that is inconsistent with your belief system, and if it's there, you think, well, what the heck? Whatever. You know, like, hey, you got to change the box that you're putting the universe in. UFOs are real. That's a fact. It's been a fact for hundreds of years. Now it's an accepted fact by any intelligent person. Thousands of sightings by both civilians and military for at least 80 years. We're just talking our modern thing. They're not a U.S. special access program. They're not from China. They're not from Russia or Iran. They're not here. They're not from this planet. And, they're these off-world vehicles not made by man. The patterns, the 5 observables I just talked about, they defy known laws of aerodynamics, the known laws of physics. They're not made by man, therefore, they're made by non-human intelligence. At the very least, non-human intelligent vehicles are in our biosphere. At the very least, that's an easy extrapolation from the data I just gave you. They're probably walking among us. Some even say that we're in collaboration with them. Do we have diplomatic relations with them? Eesh. I don't know. So I think the Pentagon should quit dragging its feet, lying to us, saying there's nothing there, there's no evidence to support non-human intelligence, and say, yes, there is non-human intelligence. Yes, they have come to our planet. Yes, we have some of their vehicles, and we have some of their pilots. That's the very minimum that the Pentagon should be doing. Okay, this is it. Thank you very much. I'm going to do another one is to say, why is everyone so resistant to this idea? That'll be another video. Thank you very much. You have a good day, and do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research, and don't keep your head in the sand. Bye.